skeleton begin to speak, whispers of truth, twisted with fear. You've entered the dark, you're already here. Vivid nightmares.
The lights were on inside the parsonage, but no one answered the door. The congregation waited. It was Sunday morning, April 30th, 1989. Inside that house, the family of a local pastor lay murdered, execution style. The son at prom. The crime scene, almost too clean. No sign of forced entry, no fingerprints, no blood trail leading out. Just a loaded question the town would never stop asking. Did the preacher's boy kill them all? 4 bodies, a locked house, a missing shotgun. Police looked at neighbors, strangers, the devil himself, but eventually they turned back to one person, the boy who was supposed to be dancing under the lights, while his family was being slaughtered in silence. You're listening to Vivid Nightmares, where Southern crimes and long-buried secrets refuse to stay quiet. I'm your host, Bridgett Denise, and tonight we're heading into 3 disturbing true crime cases where time, trauma, and truth don't always agree. This first one, a brutal family massacre, a decades-late conviction, and a community divided over what really happened behind the walls of a quiet church home. This is the story of the Pelly family murders, a quiet home in a quiet town. Lakeville, Indiana is the kind of town where you notice a new mailbox. It's tight-knit, conservative, Midwestern with Southern leanings. Small-town charm meets Bible Belt values. The Pelly family lived in the parsonage next to Olive Branch Church. Jeff Pelly, the 17-year-old son, was a senior in high school, prepping for prom that very weekend. Jeff was active in youth group. His father, Reverend Bob Pelly, was strict, some would say cold. The household ran on discipline and religion. No music, no movies, no nonsense. But to outsiders, they looked like the perfect Christian family. Until Sunday morning, when none of them showed up to church, the victims. Inside the home, police found 4 bodies. Bob Pelly, the father, shot in the chest. Dawn Pelly, Bob's new wife, also shot. Janelle, 8. Jolene, 6. Both daughters from Dawn's previous marriage. Each had been shot at close range. There was no forced entry, no signs of struggle, and eerily, the TV was still on. Jeff's youngest stepbrother and baby stepsister, ages 2 and 5, were unharmed in the house. So where was Jeff? At prom. Police found out Jeff had attended the dance as planned that night, took photos, went to a friend's house for the after party, acted normal. That same night, he told his friends he wasn't allowed to drive his car, which was strange, since prom was a big deal. But investigators would later learn his dad had grounded him the day before over stolen computer software. He was furious, which led to one question that never went away. Was this about revenge? In 1989, the case stalled. Police had suspicions but no physical evidence. No weapon, no bloody clothes, no fingerprints. Years passed. The town moved on, sort of. Then, in the early 2000s, new detectives reopened the case. They focused on Jeff's behavior, his shifting alibi, the grounded car, his stoic response at the funeral, his refusal to speak publicly. In 2002, Jeff Pelly, now in his 30s, was arrested. In 2006, he was tried and convicted of all 4 murders based entirely on circumstantial evidence. He's now serving 160 years in prison. But did he do it? To this day, many believe Jeff was innocent. No forensic evidence ever tied him to the crime. His surviving step-siblings defend him. Some experts argue the scene was too professional, more like a hit, and others say the police just needed someone to blame. Still, the court ruled, and the preacher's son became the monster of Lakeville. He left the church, walked into prom like nothing had happened, and whether he's innocent or guilty, what happened that night left the town in pieces. But our next story, it starts with a mall parking lot and ends with a name being written by someone who wasn't supposed to be alive. A young woman disappears after work. Her car is found days later in the exact same parking spot. Blood on the driver's seat, her underwear in the back, and a gas tank that has somehow been filled up. Then her credit card is used in North Carolina, signed in her name. But the woman who signed it didn't speak, didn't look up, and never came back. It was October 14th, 1965, in Atlanta, Georgia. Mary Shotwell Little, 25 years old, was working her job as a secretary at the Citizen and Southern Bank downtown. She'd only been married 6 weeks. Her husband, Roy Little, was away at a training seminar in North Carolina. So after work, Mary made dinner plans with a CO worker. They met up at Lenox Square Mall, ate at S&S Cafeteria, and shopped a little. She walked her coworker to her car, then returned to her own. That was the last time anyone ever saw her. The next morning, Mary didn't show up for work, unusual enough that her manager called police. By evening, investigators found her car. Here's the first red flag. It was parked in the exact same spot she left it the night before. But it wasn't the same. The driver's seat was smeared with blood. Her underwear and pantyhose were crumpled in the back seat. The car had been driven 40-plus miles. The odometer proved it. And strangest of all, the gas tank was full. Whoever had taken the car returned it, cleaned it up, and then vanished. Days later, Mary's credit card was used at a gas station and motel in Charlotte, North Carolina. The purchases were small, gas, snacks, room service, but the timeline matched up. Clerks at both locations remembered a woman traveling with 2 men. She was described as nervous, quiet, and had visible bruises on her face. She never spoke. One clerk said she just nodded, and when she signed the credit slip, she signed her own name, Mary Shotwell Little. Then she vanished again, this time for good. The case got stranger the more they looked. Theory first, she was stalked. Mary had mentioned to her friends that someone had been bothering her at work, someone calling her repeatedly, but no one could identify who. Theory second, she staged her own disappearance, but there were no signs of financial preparation, no extra clothes taken, and no reason. She'd just gotten married, was settling into a new life, and left everything behind. Theory third, it was someone close to her. Her husband, Roy, was cleared early on, but some suspected he knew more than he let on. His story had inconsistencies, and they had only been married 6 weeks. Theory fourth, she stumbled onto something bigger. The most whispered theory? Mary may have uncovered something at the bank. Her boss was rumored to have FBI ties, and her disappearance was said to have briefly intersected with a federal investigation involving money laundering. If that theory holds, Mary didn't vanish. She was silenced. To this day, Mary Shotwell Little's case remains unsolved. No suspects, no body, no trace, and that signature, the one that still haunts her file, was the last evidence anyone ever had that she was alive. She walked to her car with groceries in hand. She drove away. And somehow, she ended up 250 miles away with bruises on her face and someone else calling the shots. But our next case? There was no escape. A knock at the door, a baby born during a massacre, and a confession that only made the horror worse. When he didn't show up for his night shift, they found him in a field, shot, castrated, dumped like trash. But that wasn't the worst part. Back at his trailer, his wife, 7 months pregnant, had been beaten to death. So had their 3-year-old son. And someone had delivered the baby, then killed it too. It was November 1987, and Russell Dardeen, his pregnant wife Elaine, and their son Peter lived in a modest mobile home in Ina, Illinois, a small, quiet town near the southern tip of the state, steeped in farmland and conservative culture. Russell was known for being cautious, some said overly so. He didn't let strangers in the house. He refused to keep a gun in the trailer with a young child around. And when a string of violent crimes swept through nearby towns, he made it clear. If someone came to the door, they weren't getting in. On November 18th, Russell didn't show up for his night shift at the water treatment plant. Calls went unanswered. It wasn't like him. The next morning, his car was found in the woods, blood inside. Then came the real horror. Police entered the trailer and found Elaine lying in bed, her face brutally beaten with a baseball bat. Peter, just 3 years old, had also been bludgeoned. Elaine had been 7 months pregnant, but the baby had been delivered either before or during the attack. The infant had been murdered too, with the same bat. It was Elaine's own baseball bat, the one she kept next to the bed for protection. While searching nearby fields, police discovered Russell's body. He had been shot 3 times. His genitals were mutilated, cut off. He was dumped in the open, staged almost ritualistically. Whatever happened, it wasn't just a break-in. This was personal. This was rage, a chilling confession years later. The case went cold. Locals speculated everything from cults to satanic rituals. It was the late 80s after all. Nothing made sense. Who would destroy an entire family like this? Fast forward to 2000. Tommy Lynn Sells, a drifter and convicted serial killer, was sitting in prison in Texas. He confessed to dozens of murders, and one of them was the Dardeens. He claimed Russell had invited him home for dinner, that they got into an argument and he snapped. But even police struggled to believe him. Why? He was notorious for false confessions. His details didn't always match, and he was never definitively linked by physical evidence to the scene. Still, many believe he was the killer, just one of many victims in his long, bloody trail. But others, they say Sells was just convenient, that the real killer was someone local, and still out there. To this day, the murder of the Dardeen family stands as one of the most visceral and terrifying family annihilations in U.S. history. 4 lives lost, no justice, and a town still haunted. The South remembers 3 families, 3 different kinds of horror. A prom night turned massacre, a woman erased from a parking lot, a pregnant wife beaten so violently she gave birth before she died. These stories don't just scare us. They stay with us. They demand that we remember. Have a theory, a story of your own? Hit me up on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Be Vivid Nightmares Pod. And if you made it this far, thanks for not looking away. New episodes every Friday. Until next time, sleep with one eye open. Some nightmares never end.
Whispers of truth, twisted with fear. You've entered the dark, you're already here. Vivid nightmares.